Welcome everyone to this edition of Tampa Bay Kop Talk. We're going to start a little bit of a new show. We're going to call this Rambling Rivals because that's basically what it is. It's going to be us sitting down with rival fans from other clubs to talk about the state of things at their club and maybe have a little healthy banter. You know, not that toxic bullshit from Twitter, but maybe a little healthy banter. So I want to introduce to you for a longtime friend of the show, but never been on camera. Our man Pete Garcia, he's a member of the Arsenal supporters group. He's a longtime Gooner. Welcome, Pete.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy.
So, you guys last year, you finished what, eighth?
Eighth.
I'm going to make you say it.
Well,
just kidding.
A few months ago, that was a painful thing, but now, we've had a little time to embrace it, and we finished eighth, man. 14
So you
draws.
finished eighth. It's an interesting season because when you look back at the arc of that season, it's so up and down. You've got like good moments where you guys start to show some promise, and then it all seems to come crumbling down at different times. So kind of coming out of that, not so like, yeah, but it kind of did, and I kind of, I don't mind when Arsenal's successful, so I always keep an eye on you guys, and it just seemed like every time it was coming together, something degenerated. And you're under Emery for it, and then there's a coaching change. So kind of take me through the arc of last season, how you felt the way things went, and let's do it leading up to the pause.
Okay. Well, starting with Unai, I was never really an anti-Unai guy. I was apprehensive. There were all these reports that were leaking out about language issues and this weird kind of lax culture that was growing. But I still had a lot of promise coming in the beginning of the season. And like you said, there were those moments where things really came together. There's a famous team goal where Özil and Aubameyang, cap it off. That looked like we were getting back in that free-flowing, Arsenal football, and then you nailed it. Come December, nothing was going well. So I don't even want to talk about Unai's demise per se. I think, Freddie did well, and it's noteworthy, his role in the season. I think it was like 2 weeks he came in after Unai left and really stabilized things. I think we picked up a handful of points, and come, the 20th of December, we were ready for Arteta to come in. And, the last time we were on the coach hunt, he was, an early candidate, and surprising, of course, because he had just left. But, you hear Sterling and all these other guys talk about, his one-on-one coaching abilities and the way he reads the games. And yeah, come New Year, I was buzzing, man, excited.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to you around that time, and I was like, I was saying that with City, you hear the things the way he's talked about, and I was like, oh man, they're getting they're getting a gem here. And I thought, if Pep's allowing him to leave, I thought Pep was going to be out the door by now.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I thought there's no way he's just going to let him walk. But, you do the professional thing. You let the man take his opportunity. But, I thought that was a really big pickup for you guys. And it definitely changed the course of things.
Yeah.
Now,
gamble front of house, right? We have to say it. It certainly was a gamble, but early signs are exciting. But go ahead, buddy.
So, so the season obviously has to be broken into a couple of parts. And the big part is, we timed out for 2 months because of one of the most historical events of our lifetime. So,
yeah.
But in the case of Arsenal, they almost seemed a little bit different when they came back from that break, like a little bit more switched on. I don't know if maybe just the time and training had helped. Did you kind of feel that way? Like they just kind of had a different energy about them?
Yeah, I did feel it was a continuation of some of the expectations he put out there, right? He was super vocal in his press conferences and in anywhere where anyone would listen that his expectations are give 100% and come with the right attitude. And if that's not you, you're not going to play, plain and simple. And, I think Özil was first to kind of get shunned out and kind of get brought in and out of the game. And you could see that extra little from some players. So, I'm with you, man. I think the break helped us. It's hard to substantiate a lot of things, but there are reports of, homework assignments being sent out and heavy video stuff going on and tight exercise regimes at home and, you know, all this. I mean, granted, that's probably going on at every Premier League club, right? But if
Yeah.
for a new manager getting that type of opportunity day in, day out, you know, I don't know if we can really put a value on it yet.
Yeah. No, I think there's definitely something to be said for, you know, 2 months of this is what I want you guys to focus on. This is what I want you studying. And, you know, and then when you come back from that, sorry, one of my dogs is right here. Now, when you come back from that, you know, you're working right into whatever he's been preaching for 2 months.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely helps. So you come out of that and you start to look stronger. You beat the champions. We can say it. The probably still somewhat hungover champions, but still nonetheless the champions. And you go on to win the FA Cup. That is kind of an unexpected high, I feel like, compared to where, you know, like we said, the season had its struggles, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, trophy. Which also reinforces the whole, you can play as many of the FA Cup games as you want, but at the end, Arsenal's going to win it. So it's
as long as everyone else comes to that understanding, I think we're in a good spot. No, I mean, you nailed it, man. And it, for me, it came down to belief, right? You know, for maybe the focus during the break was on, you know, the specifics, you know, the jobs that he wanted to get done. Once we came out after that just supreme ass whooping by City, it was nothing but belief week over week as it stacked. You know, the victory against Liverpool, awesome, of course, I enjoyed it, but you'd be hard pressed to say that there wasn't a good amount of luck that was involved, especially towards the end of that game. Just unbelievable chances. So I separate that and the the semifinal with City. Although it was the same type of tactics and kind of waiting for our time, it was certainly not the same type of nervous kind of end to a game. And for me, I think that was probably the moment when a lot of the players in the dressing room said, hell, we go out here, we put in a shift, and we're going to do something, you know. So yeah, that for me, more than the final, as awesome as that for me was really the moment of the restart and the beginning of the Arteta era for sure.
Yeah, the City performance really kind of like impressed me, and it definitely showed what the squad was capable of.
Yeah.
So then you come into the summer, you know, and I think all of us are dealing with this kind of bizarre summer. Like, what is this? Because I didn't even know when the transfer window definitely opened. All of a sudden, Chelsea has Timo Werner. What the hell's going on? and then, you know, it's like, when does it close? And I just found out it's October 5th, like last week. I'm like, okay, I guess it doesn't close for another month. The way Liverpool supporters talk about Thiago, you'd think it closed when the season ended. But, you know, so far, I think you guys are kind of struggling with some of the same things that we are, in that you're not owned by an oligarch. You're not owned by a foreign government that is backed by oil money. So given the amount of financial uncertainty coming in the next year, you're not really set to spend a huge sum. But you did get Willian in. So kind of, how do you feel about where the squad stands going into next year, and how do you feel about that Willian move?
So, you know, I'm excited about the rest of this window. I do think that there's going to be a lot of activity, mainly on the out. But you nailed it. I mean, I guess I'll start there in terms of financing things. We're definitely in a position where, you know, someone from the core of our starting 11 is going to go. My money's on Lacazette. You know, it makes most sense for him to be the one who goes. Yeah. Especially with Nketiah coming up in the center, in the center forward position. We have options with Pepe and Willian being able to do some work on the wing. Saka as a youngster looking good there. So,
you got Martinelli can score goals.
Exactly. So, you know, he definitely, I mean, I don't want to say surplus the needs, right? Because, you know, he still had some awesome moments. Yeah. But he also struggled. I mean, I think he finished the campaign with like 10, 11 goals and, you know, really struggled away from home. His, you know, it's easy to look at it all rosy, but he struggled a little bit in his time at Arsenal. So, you know, 2 weeks ago, I would have said he's gone. There's no way he's staying. He's definitely gone. Now, there's a chance all these guys may stay. Because you nailed it. The rest of the market is in a position where even though they're available, we're not going to let them go for the right price. And other clubs
Right.
may not even have that.
Yeah. Nobody has the money to spend at the moment.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people take for granted how much of this is driven by how much of what they've known the transfer market has is driven by the television money. And we've just seen they've lost the China contract.
Yeah, that's
The
huge.
Premier League lost something like I think I read like 600 million plus pounds in lost television revenue. That is a lot of money that
Yeah.
distributed over the course of the league. I mean, would have funded quite a bit of activity. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And like I said, just we're kind of in the same position. Everybody thinks, well, they just won the title. They just, they've won the Champions League right before that. They've got all the TV money and da-da-da-da-da. When in truth, really, if you look at the way that the expenses are laid out, and kind of you guys were at the forefront as well as us of the way the contracts are paid out now over longer periods of time and very incentive based and all of that.
Yeah.
That expense has caused us to be, it's a growing expense, whereas we've grown the wage bill. You've got those payments still going out. A lot of that money that comes in just goes right back out. And what's left, you don't have a lot to spend.
Exactly.
So it feels like we're kind of in similar situations. And I'm curious, what do you think happens with Özil? Because he's on such, he makes so much.
So, here's another kind of tale of two stories. 2 weeks ago, I said definitely. I think he was 100% on the way out, even if we needed to subsidize a big chunk of the sale. And I think that's part of why some of our other behavior in the market's that way. Torreira's up potentially for sale, Bellerin potentially up for sale, Lacazette potentially up, Maitland-Niles, who can all generate a decent payday. So now photos of him in training, he looks happy. The Arsenal press corps is just pumping out content with him looking happy. There's talk of this clean slate from Arteta, even though he mentioned that when he first started also. So I have to be kind of honest, that rubs me the wrong way if you're given yet another clean slate for a player to come on and do the right thing. At this point, he did it to Wenger several times at the end. He did it to Unai. He did it to Freddie, and now potentially to Mikel twice. So long. Enjoy Turkey. Bye. Those are my feelings for sure.
Yeah. He's making what is it? It's 300 a week?
350.
350 a week. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was even short on mine.
Unbelievable.
Wow, that's a lot to not be playing every week.
Mm-hmm. And you look at Aubameyang, who was at 200 at the beginning of last season. He re-signed in the fall, or 2 seasons ago. He went up to 250. There are rumors now that he's going to start pushing that 350 area if he re-signs. How on earth are we going to afford that with Özil still around?
Yeah, that's true. And of the two, Ozil was worth it when he's pumping in goals like that. So,
yeah.
And he's winning cups for you,
It's a big problem the club needs to sort. I mean, I put it there at the top of the cancers, so to speak, that the club still needs to really cut out ASAP, and that contract is definitely pressing.
Yeah. So what moves do you expect? I've heard different things. I've heard Holdings going out on loan, which kind of surprised me because I thought he's been pretty promising, grown a lot in the last couple of years. I've heard Maitland-Niles possibly to like Watford, Bellerin out to Spain. So what do you kind of predict for outgoings?
Well, I think the conversation starts with center backs, right? And to 2 years ago, if you would ask me that Arsenal was going to have a center back problem, that would be the last thing I could have said. I mean, not necessarily performance-wise, right? There's been center backs, but in terms of the quantity of center halves we have at the moment. So, I do rate Holding. I do think he's quality. He's been a part of some of our recent trophies that have been won. He obviously had the ACL injury, took some time to come back from that. But as disappointed I am, I do think a season at a Newcastle is kind of the perfect place for him. He's probably 24, 25. He comes back 26, and he can really fight for a spot. Outside of him, at center back, we have David Luiz, who we'll definitely talk about a little bit. Pablo Mari, who we just picked up. William Saliba, who we bought from Saint Etienne, loaned him back. He's coming in. This Gabriel guy from Lille, who's in There's Mavropanos, who's out on loan this year. Socrates and Mustafi, right? There's 7 center halves, you know.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So certainly Socrates, I think, is gone, and I think Mustafi would be out the door also if he wasn't injured. You know, with the injury, I think he hangs out. He maybe comes back and plays a handful of games before December. He's out in the winter window. He's gone. But I do think, you know, as much as I am not a David Luiz fan, he will be the heart of our defense for this season as these youngsters kind of grow around him. I don't see the back three going away anytime soon. I do think eventually Mikel will want to go to a back four. That's the end destination. But unless we make some really enormous moves, it's just not likely for me.
So you sell to buy, right? So, you know, I'm kind of wondering now. One of the things I noticed that you guys did get back was you've got Danny Ceballos back,
yes,
which is a good move. But what else do you want in? What do you want to come in the door as a top priority, so to speak?
Well, you know, I think we start with Partey, of course. I mean, you know, he's certainly proven. He's been playing at a high level for some time. And with Danny back in, I think that does open the door for Torreira to leave, who, you know, is still somewhere in the 30 to 40 window, which puts us right there at that 40 million tag Madrid is asking for Partey. So for me, you know, I'd really love to see him come in. Xhaka, who just has become an unbelievable figure after being on the absolute brink of being pushed out of the squad, you know. I think he will be there at the heart of it. Ceballos and Mohamed El Neni coming back from a season out in Turkey, looking really strong in preseason. I think he makes a strong case for why we can let Torreira leave, why we can sell Kanduzi, and maybe just get one more body in kind of the center defensive midfield role.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you know, wingers wise, I think we're good. Attacking, I think we're good to go as well. If and when Mesut Ozil leaves, you know, another quick, a quick attacking-minded midfielder is definitely next. And there's this kid.
I feel like you guys aren't very short on attacking options, though. I don't know. You know, maybe it's just as an opposition fan. When you guys start attacking, I'm kind of like, hey, fuck off.
we're in a good spot, and you know, I read a piece by Arsblog this morning about what if everyone stays, and if we're unable to do any more business, let's say it just finishes like this, the tactical flexibility that Mikel can use for the next few months could be really exciting, despite some obvious, really pressing business that needs to happen. And you nailed it. Who starts up front? Amongst Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, Willian, and Saka, who's playing out of his mind. You know, there's some tough decisions for Mikel, but way better position than we were last year.
So every time you get a new coach in, you kind of go on like a little bit of a journey, right? There's always like an evolution. And you and I were talking a lot about kind of how you hoped the Emery thing would pan out. And we used to, you know, I was kind of telling you, I think over the last few years on several occasions probably about the kind of the Klopp journey and how we wanted it to evolve. So when you look at Arteta, what's the next step? What do you want to see kind of the evolution pan out to provide this year?
Good question, man. So, you know, I think the big switch is going to come from, you know, lining the team up to negate other teams' strengths, to really putting a team out there that showcases our strength. You know, there were a few times where you could tell he was trying to go out there and control the ball and you know, play the possession game, play some of the quick, wingy, pacey stuff we saw him do over at City, and he just doesn't have the personnel for it. So I don't think we're going to get there the first half of this season, for sure. I think we'll play with the back three. I think we'll play on the counter. I think, you know, we will win games and definitely be in a good position on the table through it, but we still won't be in that playing Arsenal the football way zone until the second half of the season at the earliest. I'll say it that way. So tactically, that's the big difference when he's able to go out our way. I'll say it that way.
Now, does your fan base know this?
Man, well, you know, so I've complained about Arsenal fans for years. I will say that you know, the struggles of last season, and we've talked about this, you know, when Liverpool went through some hard times, that it thinned out some of the fluff from the support, and those that are left, you know, I think are contributing in a good way. I'll say it that way. But you know, expectations, of course, are way off. You know, everybody loves Arsenal fan TV and that type of supporter, but you know, I know enough other types of supporters that know that we're in for the journey here, and you know, success is measured by our attainment of our potential, right? You know, if our potential's right here and we're performing right at that level, then I'm fucking happy. If there's a big gap, then we got issues. It is what it is. And if this is finishing in the top four and hitting a, you know, semifinal in Europe, fuck yeah, that's fantastic. And I will celebrate that shit all day long, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you mentioned before that you guys see a lot of David Luiz, but what is your preferred back line? You've also said you know, we'll get into formation in 11 in a minute, but in terms of your preferred back line, I mean, kind of what do you want to see? Because you guys gave up quite a few goals at times. So.
Well, I mean, this is a question I have like 5 answers for, right? You know, what I'd like to see is a Gabriel Saliba combination in the back. You know, I think right now they have the most promise to grow into those roles, but neither of them are ready, of course, for that job this year. So, you know, to start the year, I think we start in the back three with Luis in the middle, either Saliba or Gabriel on the left, and a Holding on the right if he doesn't go out, or if he does leave, the other two of the youngsters on either side of him. You know, we made this weird thing. We picked up Pablo Mari, right? We had him on loan. He plays like 45 total minutes for us, gets injured. Loan ends. We re-sign him for the year. And he's also a left-footed, very similar in everything type of center back to Gabriel. So, you know, if I'm Mari, I'm really scratching my head like, where the hell do I fit in this? You know, if we go to a back four, we're not going to have 2 left-footed center backs, and we can talk about how weird that is also, right? But that's not going to happen. So I like that we have the options, right? But that's something that I'm still excited to see how it evolves, because you know, who fucking knows where we could be come December. Am I allowed to curse on this?
Yeah.
Can we curse on this?
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Cool. All right.
No worries.
Yeah.
So looking at, sorry. So you look at your formation, right? So you've mentioned 3 at the back several times. You know, what is your best formation and kind of your ideal starting 11?
Yeah, so I do think 3-4-3 is ideal for me right now. You know, eventually I'd love for us to move into a 4-3-3 with different personnel, with a style that I think Mikel wants to play long term, right? But for now, the 3-4-3 with, you know, the David Luiz in the middle there and 2 of the upcoming or in rotation center backs on either side. Tierney on one side and Bellerin on the other end. Oh, I can't believe I haven't mentioned Tierney yet so far, man, because I'm so excited about his continued growth and impact. You know, I think he can do a little bit of everything. You know, I could even say at the beginning of the year, he could be on the left side of that back three. In both that Community Shield game and the FA Cup final, he played in the left of a back three. Ainsley Maitland-Niles played left wing back. And in possession, Maitland-Niles would almost slide into this like central midfield position next to Xhaka and Ceballos. And Tierney was overlapping Aubameyang on the left from a fucking center back position. So the kid is super fit. You know, the shoulder injuries, everyone talked about how his engine was just on another level because he's in the pool every day. He's in the treadmill every day, nothing with the ball, you know. So I couldn't be more excited. Anyway. So those 2 on either side.
It's good that you brought him up because if not, I was going to have to chant he's a low budget Andy Robbo at
you. Whatever. Hey, that's a great signing. Thank you. Yeah, the kid, I couldn't be more excited about. Yeah, I really didn't know a lot about him, and with the injuries early on, I I kind of had already started to relegate him to this one of these Andre Santos type signings. You remember that Brazilian a couple years ago?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did he ever play?
Barely. I mean, hundreds of minutes, right? And so I was foolishly already writing him off, but he, future Arsenal captain, potential without a doubt, and excited to see what he does.
All right. So you've got a back three with Tierney in the lineup. What were the other two?
Yeah, Tierney and Bellerin on your wing backs, and then Xhaka
Okay.
Ceballos in the middle.
Okay.
I don't think we have any other proven midfield combination right now.
So what is your, maybe it picks itself, but give me your front three. Your
Well, to start the season, what I'd really like to see is Aubameyang up front with Pepe and Willian on either side. And that does excite me because Willian can kind of drop in, also be an extra man in midfield, and let Pepe and Lacazette kind of come in from the right and left also. He could also be a false nine almost. I mean, I'm not quite sure how much he's ready to do that, but everyone, all the early reports, not everyone, are saying he wants to play in the midfield, and the opportunity to leave the wing was one of the reasons for leaving Chelsea. So that's how I'd like to see us start the season. With
and then long term, you have a different kind of. So if you move to a 4-3-3, does that change kind of your vision of what maybe even does it impact the front three, or is it just the midfield? Or?
It changes the midfield. Right now, there's a lot of responsibility on that front three to really be our creators. And, Danny Ceballos to be very, very smart in his positioning to kind of link that, what is that, second stage they call it, after we take possession back. So there's a lot of risk with that because both Xhaka and Ceballos also aren't exactly the most disciplined positionally. And any Premier League striker running straight at David Luiz, and I'm pissing my pants. So, we gotta be honest, so that's where I want to see a little bit more evolve and, maybe eventually just go to just two up front with even three at the back. Grab the midfield.
All right, so I gotta ask, prediction for the season. Where do you see you boys coming in?
Last season I don't think was all that bad, right? I don't think anybody was happy finishing in eighth, of course, but I'm looking at my notes here. Spurs, Leicester, and Chelsea all lost more games than us. And City only lost one less game less than us, right? They lost 8 games. We lost 9 games over the course of the city. So although we weren't where we wanted to be, it was those 14 draws that really, really sucked the life out of the season. And I believe Mikel has definitely already made some impacts to make that change. And we're going to continue to move. So I see top 4 for us. Hands down, top 4. I think it's almost non-negotiable for a top 4 finish for him in this season, especially with some of the support he's had. And I want a European semifinal. At least, at the bare minimum. I especially in tournament games, and in elimination matches, I think we have what it takes to go through.
All right, well, I'll be rooting for you to finish 5th, but then win the Europa League and United doesn't make it into the Champions League because you screwed them out of it. So
you had them ahead of us in the top 4.
It's my favorite way for them to get shafted, though.
Right, huh? Well, I think actually maybe you've already started. Spurs and Mourinho were way out in Eastern Europe playing those qualifiers because of the way we got in. So.
All right. Well, this has been good.
Yeah, man. Thank you. This was fun, man.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. We play each other in a couple weeks, so we're going to be, we'll probably have you back on to do that preview. We'll get the others on. We can all talk shit at you.
Okay.
Then,
it's all right. I understand
you
guys want the game to get pushed back a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll get you in on some other shows because it's always good to have another voice, another perspective. So. But good luck this season, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. Same to you. Take care, buddy.